What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. CRV, Curve Finance. I think it's time to pay attention to CRV. I believe there's a very high probability, just looking at the technicals, that Curve, CRV, does at least a 10x from the current price point. So let's do a deep dive on what I am seeing on the chart, the strength, the divergences, and a long-term view on where the price is likely to be in the coming few months. I'm not going to talk a lot around the fundamentals of CRV. You can go and look at Credible Crypto's YouTube. He has, I believe, done few videos with regards to how the protocol works. It's effectively a DEX on ETH for stablecoins primarily. There's also Convex or Credible Crypto has talked in some of his videos around the fundamentals. So he's a good source to check around the fundamentals of the protocol if that's something which you want to gain and be informed on and form your bias in terms of why you should be looking at CRV from a fundamental plus whatever is the technicals that I'm going to illustrate in the video. So I'm currently on the weekly chart. As you can see, this bottom box going back to November of 2020, this was the pivot from where CRV did its multiple all-time highs. So from 35 cent went to $3 and then later went on to do $6.5. And with the bear market coming into action, had its downturn, and it's now going to be almost about 4 years that the price has been going sideways, ranging from 35 cents, effectively the bottom of this box, to about $1.50, which is the top end of the resistance from where the price has been getting rejected the last going to be now 4 years. So I've just marked out very clearly the levels that we need to be paying attention and why I believe the strength that I'm now seeing on the chart, added with the fundamentals, with the fees, with the revenue numbers starting to find life again, the traction on and the emphasis or the importance of stable coins coming into light, many other protocols kind of aiming to get more of the CRV pools, etc., etc. So all of that is adding up to the fuel that the asset, in this case CRV, needs to make the attempt to break the immediate resistance of $1.50 and then take a stab at prices higher above. Yeah. So as of now, as you can see in this box, which I've labeled as the accumulation zone, though we currently are still in a very aggressive downtrend, the box has held, right? The price made the low on March 10th, which was around 34, 35, right? And the recent price action, the price took out that low, right? And now is gaining momentum of sorts. Not that massive, but then there is life and price in terms of strength. If you go on to the daily, you can see it's been making a massive divergence, bullish divergence in this essence. Yeah. So a lower low on the price. You can see there's like a curve kind of forming itself. And then on the momentum side, it's making high lows, right? So this is your strong traditional bullish divergence. Again, strong downtrend. You're seeing the formation of a bullish divergence, likely indicating a change in the trend. And in this case, the current trend is the downtrend. So it's a big divergence that cannot be ignored. The divergence is happening in the zone of accumulation, and the whole narrative that I just gave in terms of the fundamentals coming together and the strength on the chart, it's all combining. And these are the levels I am now interested to get my feet wet in CRV, and I've invested in CRV and see uh, will wait likely to for the price to see its momentum towards the upside. So I am in. I've got skin in the game. Um, Going back onto the weekly, then if and just in terms of immediate resistance, it's this one, right, which is around 53 cents. So happily in my chilling in my spot bags. Key kind of thing to note here is the sideways price action around the green box and the red box. This has been going on for about 4 years now, almost 4 years. The price has attempted on this red box, which is dollar and change, once, twice, thrice, almost 4 times. The price can only get rejected, or the price can only support a level only a certain number of times. So from a probability standpoint, I think it's a very likely high probability that when the price makes its attempt number 5 to this red box, that you can expect the price to find support somewhere around this or this pink resistance pivot, right, which is effectively lines up to be the weekly support resistance flip. So that's what I'm expecting as of now. Price is finding support in the long-term accumulation zone. There's a big divergence which is coming to formation on the daily, and it will reflect into the weekly as well. There's no divergence as such on the weekly, but then see the support that the weekly RSI is finding is on the top of this long-term support box, whatever you want to call it, right? So from where effectively the market has tended to reverse in the past. So in that sense, the technicals are aligning, right? So now it's more of a waiting game in the first instance, where I am expecting the price to show strength. So maybe something around sideways, do something like that, make another attempt, but then this time my bias and my thesis in terms of its bullish formation would be for this weekly resistance to flip into support finally, and then we'll see where the price goes from that point onwards. But this here would be my target number one, right? So if you take the price from where the current prices are, this would turn out to be a 6 or a 7x. The top end is about 8x. So 6 to 8x, I'm in the first instance going to be targeting offloading some of my spot backs and this price range. Okay. And then depending on when the price reaches those levels, like I said, it's not going to happen tomorrow or next week, in a few weeks or month or 2 months. It might be a 3+ month swing spot position kind of a narrative that I'm playing here, and I'm happy with waiting for that longer of a duration. And if the price gives an opportunity for some reason that it wants to play around and hover around on these levels as well, that would be a golden opportunity to add to the spot backs. And all the buying and the selling stuff that I'm saying is, or are the actions that I'm going to take personally. This again, for disclaimer, in no form or shape is any recommendation or advice to buy or sell. You are mature enough to take that decision making for yourselves, right? So a 6 to 8x from the current price levels in this box, that's my target zone number one. I would be offloading, say, about 40 odd percent of my spot bags. And then from the same levels, my target two is effectively the previous um, high close, which is about $5.7. So another kind of 40% around 5.5. And I do have targets above the previous all-time high, which is this yellow line or resistance line, which is effectively this box. So 13 to 23, the target or the range is effectively coming from the fib levels, so the highs and the lows. My 1.272 is about $18. I'm kind of not too optimistic about 18 or 15. Yeah, I'm not to the um, high double digits, right? Maybe mid 12 to 15 is kind of where my expectations are. If the price reaches those levels, then the remaining 20% gets offloaded. Um, Crypto, wild space, right? Uh, Wicks and stuff always happen. So in the event the wicks do happen and you eventually do end up hitting that um, 1.272, it always kind of breaches that to some point. So hence the extension. But you get the narrative, you get the point. That is the CRV bias and the CRV strength that I see on the chart, and I'm invested into it. I think it's an easy 6 to 8x in the interim, in the short, and I do expect kind of um, a good selling point in this box around $3, $3.5. And if I look at from a fib standpoint as well, again, a not just the order block from a resistance standpoint, this red box here, but you can see the 0.786 and the 0.84, 3 to almost about $4 is also the fib resistance from where the price more often than not finds its rejection. Yeah, so that this zone here is going to be a massive resistance for the price. 40% happy to sell it out and take some profits on the spot backs, and then we'll see how the price goes from there. But the thesis would be gets rejected in the first attempt, another few weeks or months. I don't know for what duration and what state of the market would be at that point in time. But this box here then turns into support. So the resistance, which has been holding the price back for about almost 4 years now, which is dollar and a half, $1.5, turns into support. So that could be another opportunity if someone don't have a position or a portfolio of CRV and the market is in a strength mode, momentum mode to the upside. You can always find your entries around those price levels. So it's a very simple game. Previous resistance should turn into support. If that happens and you see the strength, get in at that point, and then the next aim of price target from that point or that price would be the or prior all-time highs, which from a close standpoint is about 5.7. So 40% goes in here, another 40 goes in this box, and 20% I'll leave it as a moon bag. And if the market presents the opportunity for a sell around 10 plus, 12 plus, then more than happy to do the selling of the remaining 20% at that point in time. So it's an easy, if you are willing to hold, if you've got the patience. It's always good to take the profits, yeah. But if you have the patience, you are looking from current price points straight almost 14x, and if it does go yeah, 16x, right? So you need to be paying attention. It's got the narrative behind it. It's got the technicals behind it. It's got time capitulation behind it, and I would rather bid on assets like these around these prices rather than chasing the asset when the price does something like this. I remember November, December of 24, people were going mad nuts on CRV, and every kind of chase which you do when the price is moving to the upside is what adds to the fuel on these massive green candles. I am not good at chasing. I don't want to chase. I like to invest when everyone is out. I am happy to take 20% and whatever X percentage of negative of my portfolio in spot if the price was to come here. But the opportunity to make multiple X's from this price point here to the upper price targets is ridiculous. It just makes sense to bet, right? So I have bet. I've made my bets. I've got my spot bag here. And depending on what and how the price shapes up on the lower time frames, I might just add more. So let's see. We are currently on the daily. Like I said, there's a big, massive divergence which is happening. In the interim, this resistance block, I think the price definitely is going to, given the divergence being formed, I think it's going to make an attempt here. So let's see if it happens. Yeah. Um, so the current immediate resistance to break is about 50 cents. So that's on the CRV USD chart, where the strength and the technicals and what the major or minor levels are, an alt that I am invested in. And let's just bring up the CRV BTC to add the confluence to see if there's, yeah. So you can see on the weekly, it's finding strength against Bitcoin around these levels as well. So for CRV to, let's see how much CRV against BTC. So from the current Satoshi levels against, yeah, another 6x from here. So I think I'm more positive and I'm more comfortable in the spot currently. And my initial targets around $3 to $3.5 is what I'm hoping, backed by the technicals and what I see on the chart, is likely to happen next on CRV. And another one, I think in one of my previous videos, I had talked about how XRP has been finding strength against Bitcoin, and XRP is the beta to ETH, in kind of similar narratives. CRV, with its 4 years long drawn sideways consolidation, is likely to be the beta against XRP. So it's not just the multiples that it's going to have more when compared to an XRP or a BTC or a ETH or a Solana. It's likely going to be quite aggressive in terms of how quickly and aggressively CRE is going to tap onto those levels around, especially in the short and in the interim, to those $3 ballpark, right? So let's just look at how CRV USD is doing against ETH USD for reference. Yeah, it's holding. I think this one is the monthly level. Yeah, it's the monthly level, and you can see as of now it's doing like a double bottom formation on that monthly pivot. On ETH, against ETH, this likely is the resistance pivot that it needs to get over. So we'll see how quickly it does that. Um, so that's the strength against CRV against ETH. CRV USD against XRP USD. Let's see that. Similar kind of structure against XRP as well. So the USD chart is finding strength in terms of its divergence, and it's a long drawn out divergence, right? So expecting that strength and that divergence to continue in the coming days. There's strength and momentum building in terms of when you look at CRV against ETH, when you look at CRV against XRP, and XRP has been not one of the, but probably the most strongest alt against Bitcoin. Well, I can talk about XRP in a separate video dedicatedly, but that's where we are. That's where the strength, and when I think it's time to pay attention to CRV. And in the interim, it's a minimum of 6 to 8x, and with the wicks and stuff, I think a minimum of 10x is a very high probability. So if someone wants to um, get more informed on CRV from a fundamental standpoint, as I mentioned, Cred's YouTube on some of those fundamentals. You'll find those fundamental videos on CRV and Convex on his YouTube channel. And I think he's talked about the technicals as well from an Elliott wave standpoint as well. Um, just before I close, let's just quickly do BTC. Yeah, it's still still hovering above the box. So as of now, it's good. And for the alts to kind of flourish, you want BTC to be around these levels and find strength. And even if BTC has stopped, right, you want BTC to stay in a sideways chopping action for alts to kind of flourish anyways. Uh, but yeah, nothing in terms of my bias has changed. The support is holding. I mentioned yesterday I don't like how the weekly is forming in terms of its consolidation um, structure under the 50 moving average. That's a red flag for me. And I kind of have this thesis that I don't think, at least in where we find ourselves with the current market conditions, that at any point in time you will have a 2017 style alt market boom. Some of these alts will go to previous all time highs, but I don't think they will all go to the previous all time highs of theirs all at once. It's going to be maybe few alts, and to identify those alts, I look at strength against Bitcoin, CRV, XRP. Those two primarily are the ones at this point, at least, who are finding strength against Bitcoin. And then XRP against ETH and Bitcoin, and CRV is finding its strength against XRP, ETH, and BTC as well. Right. So not all alts are going to go to their previous all-time highs. I don't think there's going to be an alt season 2017 style or 2021 style. Select few alts are going to go and make new all-time high when Bitcoin goes to its relief rally or previous all-time highs or makes new all-time highs. So during that relief bounce or a new bounce towards the all-time highs is where these alts are going to, select few alts are going to make their new all-time highs. And XRP and CRV are kind of in my hodl bag in the anticipation of their prices making new all-time highs. With that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like, share, subscribe, share it with your friends. See you in the next one. Cheers.